Welcome to Reddisimmo, home of great Reddit stories. Don't forget to subscribe now.
First Reddit story. Am I the jerk for sulking about the fact that my wife won't let me watch my son's birth? I, 28M, have been with the love of my life, Emily, 26F, for 7 years, married for 2. We have always talked about having kids, and I've always wanted to be there when they were born. When my dad was still alive, he used to tell me and my siblings all the time about how it literally brought him to tears, not a man who cries by the way, and he would say he was so grateful for all of us and for the experience. My beautiful and amazing wife is 8 months pregnant. It's been a pretty difficult pregnancy for her, well for us, but especially to her. She's had a few miscarriages in the past, and I've just been praying to God for both of them to make it through safely. We were talking more and more about what's going to happen when she goes into labor, and she's very adamant that I will not be in the room, natural or C, no matter what. I've tried convincing, pleading, begging, but she won't change her mind. Her mom is going to be with her, and I understand that she needs her mom, and that she needs to do whatever to make sure that everything goes smoothly. I don't want to stress her out too much because I keep telling myself all that matters is that they're both healthy, but I'm honestly really sad about not being able to be there for my son's birth. It's not about me. I know that. All that matters is that they're both healthy. I've been trying to come to terms and understand this on my own time, so as not to bother her, but Emily's just being so condescending to me, and I know that she's just stressed out and scared, so she doesn't mean it, but I feel like I deserve to process this at least for a few days. I still do everything as I've done before, but she says that now I have this beaten puppy dog look on my face, and it's pissing her off. Then, she started scolding me, asking me why it mattered so much to me, and if I was going to act this week in front of our son. She told me I needed to just be a real man and get the F over it. I feel like crying, but I don't want her to know, and get mad at me again, so I told her I was going out to get groceries, and am writing this in the car to try and calm myself down. I love her so much, but what she said really hit me hard. I just want them both to be healthy and safe, but I also wanted to be there. Aita. Comments. Is she always this cruel and misogynistic? Not misogynistic, straight up obsessed with toxic masculinity. Men are weak if they cry or care about seeing their child's first moments. Hell no, this woman has very toxic views and Op really needs to take a look if this is the kind of mindset he wants his child to be raised with. My husband regularly gets teary about our son and how much he loves him, and I find it utterly wonderful. OP's wife sucks. Holding your baby for the first time is amazing. It would suck to be the dad, and be third in line to hold your child, after mom, grandma, then dad, maybe. I tear up often when I think of my kids, and they are adults now. Reddit story 2. Am I the jerk for not defending my husband? My husband, 31M, and I, 30F, have been married for 3 years. About 4 months ago, we found out that I was pregnant with our first child. We were overjoyed, and told most of our family about it early on. My husband didn't want to reveal it to our friends yet, and so I didn't. It was incredibly hard for me, especially because I couldn't tell JJ, 30F. JJ and I have been best friends since we were 14. I love her to death, and we tell each other every single thing. But I decided to respect my husband's wishes this time. JJ also moved 3 hours away from us earlier this year, so she doesn't visit as much either. Naturally, over the past month, more and more of our friends have gotten to know about it. But I couldn't find the right time to tell JJ, and my husband didn't insist much either. Yesterday, JJ visited us and I revealed the pregnancy through a small box that said, "You're an auntie now," with a baby onesie. Now, JJ's a little goofy. Which is what I love the most about her. She doesn't care what others think and is just a very entertaining person in general. When she saw the text, she immediately started screaming and then cried and hugged me. It was a very emotional moment for both us. My husband seemed pretty happy about it too, although he's known to not adore JJ's amusing behavior sometimes. She's a huge jokester and loves roasting him. After the reveal, she gave him a huge hug, then a pat on the back and said, "Damn Mike, didn't know you could do that." This was clearly a joke, and everyone in the room let out a laugh. My husband was not very happy. He responded with, "You know, this is why you were the last one to know about this," in a very passive-aggressive tone. JJ was taken aback and confused. She asked me if that was true, and when I responded with an explanation, she said she was kinda hurt, but was happy for us. The excitement died down in the room after that, and everybody left soon after. I got really mad at my husband for saying that to JJ, but he says that he is tired of her cracking jokes and not taking things seriously. And most of all, he hates that I never take his side. Knowing JJ, she's really just kidding most of the time, and I don't think there's anything to be that offended over. My husband thinks I'm being a jerk here by not defending him. What do you all think, aita? Comments. She's a huge jokester and loves roasting him. And I'm assuming your husband has expressed his displeasure at this behavior in the past. It doesn't matter if JJ likes roasting him, if he doesn't also like it, and he clearly doesn't, then it isn't roasting, it's bullying. And, like many who have been bullied continuously, he had finally had enough and clapped back. Was it mean? Yes. But so was her bullying. If you don't have the awareness to see how her bullying affects your husband, that's a you problem, and you don't get to blame him when he stands up for himself. YTA, and you need to talk to JJ about her bullying your husband. After you have a serious look at how you've helped enable the behavior for years and apologize to your husband about it. Yep, you hit the nail on the head. When you need to explain someone is a huge jokester and you just can't take a joke, that's not joking, that's bullying. Her friend is a bully and she does nothing to stop it, just keeps trying to find ways to excuse it and doesn't take her husband's side. Definite white. YTA. It is interesting that when I first read this it sounded like a joke my guy friends would say to one another. However, reading it a second time, I realized there is one serious guy in our group that I would not say this to, nor would anyone else. Roasting is about knowing.
Third Reddit story. Am I the jerk for comparing what my parents have done versus what my boyfriend's parents have done? My BF, 25M, and I, 24F, bought a house together 8 months ago. It is no secret that gathering a deposit for a house isn't easy. While we saved up to 80% of it, my parents also gifted us $20,000. My BF and I discussed when my parents gifted us the funds towards our deposit that his parents would also gift this, agreed by his parents, but they would give it to us after we moved in since we already had enough for the deposit for the house we wanted. I understand that I am very privileged to have this issue, so this is why I am struggling within myself about whether I should even be concerned about this. To give some background, when I was growing up, my parents were low-wage earners and they lived paycheck to paycheck every single week. They worked extremely hard and lived frugally to pay off their mortgage. They never went on holidays, rarely bought expensive things and lived very simple, working hard towards retirement as they are in their 60s. On the other hand, my boyfriend's parents, who are a lot younger than mine, have their own business that is highly successful and they live a very comfortable, lavish life. Think buying a new BMW and Mercedes and then not liking the Merc so deciding to buy Porsche instead. Spend $50,000 on a holiday, and spending $30,000 on an anniversary party, all in the span of 6 months. They have no money troubles at all. So cut to we moving to our house. Boyfriend's parents gave us $500, their old washing machine and a vacuum cleaner. I was grateful, but I couldn't help but question if their offer was still on the table, as we wanted to fix a few things in our house, for example a huge leak in our bathroom wall. I asked my BF what was happening and he got extremely defensive, saying how dare I ask this question and telling me how materialistic I was. He was also with his mum at this time that I was unaware of, and he proceeded to tell his mum while I was on the phone that Bopi is upset that you haven't given us $20,000 like her parents did. Are you still going to? And they had a laugh about it. I have since asked twice and again I have been dismissed and been told that I should not have ridiculous expectations and that his parents shouldn't have to match what my parents did. I also mentioned to my BF that I felt it was rude when his mother showed me the 3 designer bags that she had purchased as well as all the gold and diamond jewelry while on holiday, right after I mentioned that the increases on our mortgage payments were really starting to pinch. Again, I was told that I have no right to question this. I would not have cared if they didn't gift us anything or if they didn't say on many occasions that they would match what my parents did, nor if they didn't invite all of their friends over to my housewarming that I was not aware of, and if they were struggling financially. I help with the family business, so I'm very up to date about their finances. I am not being understood when I bring up my frustration, as I think it's just unfair. So, aita. Comments. NTA. They told you numerous times they'd match your parents' gift. They haven't. That's reneging on a promise, no matter whether they think they are obliged to match your parents' gift or not. On top of that, them laughing at you is concerning. At this point, it feels like they're playing some kind of sick game, like dangling money and luxuries in front of you and yanking it out of reach every time you have the audacity to stretch your arms. I'd be leery of all the other ways your husband and in-laws treat you. Are they secretly snobs who look down on people who don't come from money? BF, I'd definitely be wary of upgrading him to hubby status based on the blatant disrespect on display. Agreed. Also worth mentioning that buying a house with a BF is not the best idea. Especially if you now have $20,000 more equity in the house than he does. If both parents gave the same amount it would be equal, but since that didn't happen, you need to protect your parents' money. To echo this, buying a house when you aren't married without protecting your investment is beyond stupid. You need to have a contract signed with your boyfriend so that if you break up both of you know where you stand. Not to mention, neither girlfriend nor boyfriend have rights of inheritance. If they don't have wills and something unfortunate happens, OP could end up owning the house 50/50ths with BF's parents. Or worse, if something happens to OP, BF and his parents could own the house outright and OP's parents might have no recourse with respect to their $20,000 contribution. Unless they have a will granting her share to BF, then her parents would inherit her share and own 50% with BF. Fourth Reddit story. Am I the jerk for wanting to keep the money my grandmother left me in her estate and not give it to my parents? For context, I am 27F while my parents are both 60. My grandmother died leaving her estate to her 2 sons, my dad's brothers, and my brother, 23M, and I. My dad had estranged my grandmother for the last 15 years of her life, but my brother and I maintained a relationship with her. In her will, she specifically noted that she was giving the share of her estate that would have otherwise gone to my father, to my brother and I, divided in 2. My parents have been extremely adamant that this money is theirs, that my father should have never been written out of the will as the money was his birthright. My mom has told me that this money is the only thing that will give my dad his dignity back, so that he is of equal value to his 2 brothers who received money. My grandmother wronged them, and from their perspective, she did this to get back at them. I have dealt with my uncles and the lawyers of the estate the past 2 years as all of this has unfolded. I maintained a relationship with my grandmother up until her last day. I visited her while she was in palliative care, my father did not. He sent a text message to her through my cell phone during her last week. My father and mother have cut me off from the rest of my extended family, both on my dad's side and my mom's side. All for reasons I still don't entirely understand, as I was very young when it happened. They've told me a bit about why this happened, but it has been very surface level. They say it was because the family judged them beyond reasons that were irreparable. When speaking to my parents about wanting to give them some money, but keep some for my future and to help me pay off my student loans, they respond by telling me that I'm not poor enough for this money. That I don't eat Kraft dinner every night, I am employed full-time and my level of stress financially is incongruent with my spending habits. Also, that I have trouble seeing things from the proper perspective, because if I understood why my dad needed this money to retain his dignity, I won't be hesitant fighting this. They also are in desperate need of money. My father is unemployed and my mom only has her pension which sustains both of them. I am worried my dad will cut me out if I fail to give him my entire share of the estate. My brother is scared of losing my parents, so he just decided to give them the entirety of his share. I'm trying to stand my ground because I love my parents. I just want them to have some accountability for everything that's happened, and that I maintained a relationship with my grandma, and that means something. They are adamant that money is theirs and I was only privileged to have it because they allowed me have a relationship with grandma and didn't cut me off from her. I feel awful that I won't be maintaining my grandma's wishes, but I also don't want to lose the only family I have left. TLDR, my grandma left her estate to my brother and I, because my father estranged her. My father is adamant that the money is his birthright and is demanding that I give it all to him. Comments. It's not your dad's birthright, your grandmother decided who she wanted her estate to go to and it wasn't him. Stand your ground, don't let that greed of his change your mind. Hard agree. Think about this OP, there are some people who leave nothing to their family and give it all to charity instead. That put the whole birthright thing into the proper perspective for me. NTA. My mother left nothing but the cost of her funeral. Technically, my sister or stepdad could have covered the cost, but very honestly, I never once felt I was entitled to her money. I was doing just fine on my own. Not rich, I have medical issues so I receive EBT benefits and I live in subsidized housing so I can afford a place to live. I am good with my life. I would have preferred to have my mother, but that wasn't my choice either. Fifth Reddit story. Am I the jerk for lying that my dad was having an affair to prove that my stepmom reads my diary? 16F, my stepmom, 40F, Ariel, is really immature and honestly acts like a 9-year-old sometimes. She's the type of person who makes fun of someone for having a hearing aid or wearing glasses. She also says bigoted things, i.e. there was someone on TV wearing a towel turban and Ariel said, why would anyone want to look like a Muslim, so I do my best to avoid her. But Ariel won't stop reading my diary. I found out because she said I wrote some rude things about her cousin Loretta and she tried punishing me over it. I wrote nothing rude about Loretta, just that she was condescending to me and I did not appreciate it. Dad just told me to respect adults and said nothing else to Ariel about reading my diary. I have been compelled to move the diary multiple times but Ariel keeps finding and reading it. She'll make comments and say things that she would only know about from actively reading my diary. I have complained to my dad several times and he won't do anything. He makes an excuse that, oh, you don't know Ariel reads your diary, when she clearly does. I got absolutely fed up with it. So I tried talking to Ariel one more time about respecting my privacy and not reading my diary. I then wrote in my diary that I caught my dad having an affair with our neighbor, Michael. Ariel ended up reading my diary the next day and freaked out. She yelled at my dad, went to Michael's house, yelled at Michael, and then she drove somewhere else. My family on my mom and stepdad's side all thought it was hilarious and told me that I taught Ariel an overdue lesson about respecting boundaries and not being nosy. But Ariel and my family on my dad's side are livid with me and I'm still grounded at his house. They said that Ariel was just curious and wants to know what's going on in my life. And I should appreciate that Ariel just wants to be involved instead of embarrassing the family in front of the entire neighborhood. Aita. Comments. Most definitely NTA. This is poetic justice. Your stepmom played stupid games and won stupid prizes. I only feel bad for your innocent neighbor. I do feel a little bad for Michael. But then again, he said some rude and weird comments towards me and gives me some not so good vibes. So I don't feel as bad. So you had a very valid reason to include him in your experiment. I'm curious, do you think your mom might buy you a small lockbox to keep your diary in at your dad's place? Because even though this was an awesome way to catch the snoop, she's still a snoop at heart and will likely continue her awful behavior. A good lockbox with a combo or even key can be incredibly useful in these situations. I have even seen them with fingerprint identification, not sure how expensive though the combo and key kinds can be relatively inexpensive. A teenage girl needs a place to put her private thoughts and your stepmom obviously doesn't appreciate this or you. If this doesn't work out and you need another outrageous thing to write OP, please journal that you're pregnant. I have found decent lockboxes for around $20 though if that helps at all. OP good on you, because this is hilarious and well deserved for her being a snoop. My journal is my business and something I as a 23F use to decompress.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. This will help us grow. Thank you once again. You guys rock.